Right. Hey, friends, Power Guy Rob Phoenix here. Hope you're all doing well. Just popping in to say hi. Hi. Um, anyway, Bill and I were out and about today. We went to a local garden center called Highland Gardens. Um, might be a family-owned operation, I'm not sure, but it's fantastic. They have everything, every plant, every tree, every herb, every flower, every vegetable, whatever, and all kinds of like gardening tools and equipment, gardening decor. Like it's just an awesome, awesome place. It's a little pricey. They do have landscaping, such things like flagstone and mulch and such with, but yeah, it's a little pricier than I would say box stores like Lowe's or whatever. But we did buy a meadow rue. It's kind of like a tree. It grows between 4 and 6 feet tall. Gets little flowers on it and such. It does have some medicinal properties, but we're going to put it out in the front of our house. So anyway, good times. The garden centers are busy. It's a busy time of year. Everybody's planting and such with. But anyway, what I want to talk about is while I was there, I saw um, there must have been like there are where I live in South Central Pennsylvania, there is a very large witchcraft presence. Um, and I saw a number of people at Highland Gardens today that I know for a fact to be witches. Now, I'm talking about witches in the sense of like modern, sort of like modern witchery, modern witchcraft traditions. Not evil, not bad, just kind of like Wicca or whatever. And out of the three of them, one of them I remember and I knew, but I couldn't remember her name. The thing about me is years ago, I trained within a traditional witchcraft tradition. Back in the 1990s, I trained with an author named Silver Ravenwolf and her Black Forest clan. They're local here. Um, so I worked through all the levels of elevation. I got my third degree literally in Silver's dining room. Um, she did my third degree elevation ritual. So I still have my certificate of ordination. What was interesting is at the time, she was in communication and friendly with Ray Malbrough. Ray Malbrough was, I don't know if he's still alive, but he's sort of an oily, kind of shady fellow. He was trained under Raymond Buckland. He lived in, I believe, Louisiana for a while, New Orleans, maybe. I'm not sure. But he started this, he was more like, I don't know, I don't know what he was. He was a strange little man. But he started the All Saints Chapel of Faith Church out of Louisiana. And so that church, Silver Ravenwolf, linked herself to that to provide clergy certification to her third degrees. So when I got my third degree, I got this certification of ordination. Reverend Robert has successfully completed the course of study for clergy in the Black Forest Seminary, meeting the requirements for ordination as a minister of All Saints Chapel of Faith Church slash Black Forest Seminary, and to administer all the ceremonies, sacraments, ordinances, and other functions of the church on this 14th day of July in the year 2002. This was a long time ago. This is over 20 years ago. And is hereby awarded this certificate by All Saints Chapel of Faith Church, Black Forest Seminary Organization, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, City and Commonwealth. And look at their seal. Crucifix. It was a Christian denomination of like Spiritism. So she linked herself up with that just to give her people clergy, although none of us were trained in any kind of sacraments or rituals and ordinances and such of the actual All Saints Chapel of Faith Church. But there probably weren't any. Ray Malbrough was a very shady person. Anyway, I have a couple of personal experiences with him that I choose not to share here, but he was a very shady person. Him and Silver had a falling out at one point, and he separated from her, and she cut all ties with him. And so then she, said, well, if you want to be clergy, the whole Black Forest thing was like Wicca clergy training. If you want to be clergy, just get it for free online or something. I don't know. But I was there when it was actually connected to a church, a Christian church. So anyway, the reason I'm saying all of this is because recently somebody made a comment about me and my information about powwowing and magic and such with, and said that I know nothing. Well, I've literally been through traditional witchcraft training. I've had all that training. So I've had more training and more experience than most of these people who argue against me. Now, am I a witch now? I guess technically I still am because I've had all that training in my past, but I don't identify as that any longer. I no longer follow that religious leaning of whatever it is. However, I still know everything that I've learned. But I utilize a lot of that in my powwowing today as a Christian because now I know what the witches do, and now I know how to work against a lot of what they do. Because even though what I learned during that time as, training in a witchcraft tradition was just simple stuff that I still use, like astrology, herbalism, that sort of thing, lunar lore and such with. But now I know so much more. And some of the stuff that I learned was nefarious, dark, things that now as a power I actively work against. But because I know how to do those things, I know how to work against them. So for the people out there who think that like Phoenix line of powwowing comes from a place of ignorance or whatever, you couldn't be further from the truth. Like you're not going to get better powwow training from anybody other than me or my people that I've trained, because I have, over 20 years ago, I trained entirely from dedicant all the way to third degree in a traditional witchcraft tradition. And now I know so much about powwowing and such with, so I have all of that knowledge and experience that I share with the people in my line. So anyway, I just want to talk about that. I do have a lot of I have a lot of history and such. Now, my training ended with the witches over 20 years ago. I was then asked to come back as the powwow guide for the Black Forest clan. But they were not ready to hear the truth about powwowing. That just is what it is. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up tonight, talk about it. It's been on my mind ever since that person said that about me. But just know that when I speak to you, it comes from a place of experience. It comes from a place of knowledge. And literally over 20 years ago, prior to like a lot of my naysayers even being like old enough to vote or buy alcohol or whatever, or, I was doing this stuff. I mean, this has been my whole life, was occult studies, magical studies and such. And I wanted to study all facets of it. But ultimately, it led me to the tradition of powwow, which is where I belong. But I know what I'm talking about when I speak about witchery and such. So anyway, that's all I have to say for tonight. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you guys. Love you. And we'll talk again soon.